When my daughter sent me the photo of a ring, I said Maybrook to the empty room, instead of crying. The message was simple, written like a note stuck to a fridge. I said yes, no, Mama, no, please make dua. Just a picture of a thin gold band on her hand, a row of tiny stones like a line of stars. I stared at the phone until the screen dimmed. My tea went cold before I remembered to drink it. Outside, it was late afternoon, the kind of light that makes dust look like snow. I felt that dust in my chest, soft and heavy, falling and falling. A second message came. We did an engagement last night. It was small. I didn't want to stress you. My eyes followed each word like a slow bead on a tasbih. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, unsure if it should hold, or forgive, or ask questions that would sound like accusations. I could almost hear her voice, fast, polite, already backing away. I put the phone down and went to make wudu. The water was cool on my wrists. I pressed my palms to my face and begged my heart to be quiet. Then she called. I let it ring once, twice. I answered before the third ring ended because I have always answered my children. Mama, she said, don't be upset. His name is Imran. He's good. We did it quietly with Uncle Farid. He signed for me. I couldn't wait. Please don't come today. Please just make dua. Uncle Farid, my brother. My jaw tightened, but my voice did not. I said what a mother is supposed to say. May Allah put barakah in it, Layla. May He make it easy. My voice sounded like an old door. I heard myself smile. After we hung up, I sat at the kitchen table and looked at the empty chair across from me. For years, that chair was hers. For years, every choice in this house echoed her name. And now, she had chosen a life without my yes. I told my heart to have sabr. I told my heart this is Qadr, and I should trust it. I folded the tea towel 100 times. I searched for a prayer that could hold the pieces of my chest. If stories like this bring you comfort, please follow Voices of Fatima, like this video, and share it with someone who might need it. Have you ever received a message that changed your whole day or your whole life? Tell me in the comments. My name is Salma. I am 68 years old. My eyes are not as strong as they used to be, but I can still thread a needle and read the small print in the Quran if the sun comes through my window the right way. I live alone in a small apartment on the 2nd floor, above a grocer who calls me Kalti and sometimes sends a boy upstairs with fresh mint. My life is quiet. The radio whispers Quran in the morning, and by Asr the pigeons come to the balcony and wait for breadcrumbs. It took me a long time to get used to the silence. For most of my life, my home was loud with the voices of my children and my husband's cough. My husband, Hassan, owned a fabric stall with his cousin, and he spent his life smelling of cotton and dust and the city. He died 15 years ago. It was a heart attack, they said. It was stress, they said. I never knew how to separate those words. When he went, the house shrank, but the responsibilities grew. I did not have time to cry much. One of my tears was always hanging in my throat while the pot boiled, while the school fees waited, while the world kept moving. We had 2 children. Bilal is older. He works in Doha and calls me every Friday. He says, "How is your sugar, Mama?" And then he tells me to drink less tea and more water. He sends money and guilt. He was a good son and a restless boy. He left to build his life. I understand. Life makes boys into birds. Layla came after, my girl with the dark eyes and the serious mouth. As a child, she was the kind of quiet that fills a room. She had thoughts like heavy books. She held them close. When she did laugh, it was like sudden rain. It soaked everything. I kept her hair in 2 braids until she begged me to let her go with it loose. She was 10 then, and I knew I could not hold even a strand without asking. We were close. I taught her how to knead dough and how to fold laundry so it looks like it was never unfolded. I taught her Surah al-Fatiha, and then she taught me patience in the slow way only children can. We used to sit on the floor and write shopping lists together, her letters round and careless, mine neat and thin. On Fridays, she would hold my arm as we walked to the masjid, and she would whisper, "I like the smell of your scarf." It was soap and jasmine, and the soft warmth of prayer. Every corner of my life had her thumbprint. After her father died, we built a little world out of our routines. Wake up, pray, make tea, go to school, go to the market, sharpen pencils, wrap leftovers with care. That is how women keep going. We build fences out of small things. We decorate them with hope. When Layla finished school, she studied accounting and then found a job at a company that sold things I could not name. She started wearing sleek shoes and a handbag with a zipper that did not snag. She began to speak the language of the city, the quick okay, okay, the emails, the long days that followed her home. She paid our bills on her phone and taught me how to press the green button to answer calls. "It's easy, Mama," she would say. "Just remember to charge it." I remember how proud I felt each time I heard her typing late in the evening, looking so capable, so grown. But pride has a shadow. When a child grows, a mother must step back. And stepping back feels like falling without anyone to catch you. Sometimes, in the early days, I would call her at work just to ask if she wanted lentil soup for dinner. I wanted to hear her voice. I wanted to tie her to the house with something simple like food. If she did not pick up, I would put my phone on the windowsill and watch the little blue ticks appear on my screen like they were the moon rising. When Layla was 23, she brought me a name. "Mama, there is a good man," she said. "He is kind. He works hard. His name is Samir." I still remember the way she said kind, as if that word alone could hold a future. I asked questions like I was knitting with wet wool. Every stitch slipped. "Does he pray?" I asked. "Does he respect his mother? Who are his people? Where are they from?" She answered, and I listened, but there was a stone in my chest. We met Samir and his mother one afternoon. They were polite. He was gentle, but his eyes ran away from mine too quickly. His mother talked like she was counting her neighbor's dishes. I felt my neck stiffen. I told Layla later, in the kitchen where secrets grow, I don't feel settled. I had many reasons and none. I was afraid of the unknown. I was protective. I was stubborn. I was used to being the one who said yes. I said no. Layla did not speak to me for 3 days. When she did, her voice was careful. "I know you love me," she said. "I know you're trying to protect me, but I'm not a child, Mama." And I said, "You will always be my child." We both were right. Sometimes that is the worst kind of argument, the one where both of you are right and both of you are hurt. Years passed. She dated no one. Or if she did not tell me. She focused on her work and on us. On slow evenings, we would drink tea and try to guess the lives of people walking below our balcony. In Ramadan, we whispered du'as between the adhan and Iqama. I asked Allah to write for her a man who would be a gentle home. I asked for a door that would open with his name. I asked for wisdom, too, because I know sometimes the price of being right is too high. Around the same time, I found a tin box in the closet with old photos and letters. In it, among the thin paper and faded faces, there was a photo I did not remember. It was taken outside my husband's fabric stall. Hassan stood with 2 men, and behind them a woman in a patterned headscarf laughed, her bracelets catching the light. A boy, maybe 5, stood near her, holding a red balloon. The woman was beautiful in the easy way that comes from feeling loved. I felt an old worry rise up like smoke. Women had whispered to me, years ago, that Hassan sometimes worked late with a friend. I had chosen not to listen. I had chosen my home over my pride. I closed the tin and pushed the thought down to the bottom of the sea inside me. But sometimes, when the house was very quiet, I could hear it move. The day Layla sent the ring photo, the house had that silence. The adhan for Asr floated in from the street. The window light was soft. I had made chicken soup and left it on the stove with the lid crooked so the steam could escape. The phone lay face down on the table. I could still feel its shape on my palm. I kept thinking of her words. We did it quietly with Uncle Farid. I pictured my brother signing as her wali. I pictured Layla in a dress I had not ironed, a scarf I had not chosen, a smile I had not created with my prayer and my coddling and my scolding and all the small things that mothers do to build a wedding day. I reached for the small wooden box where I keep my tasbih. It was a gift from my own mother when I was a new bride. The beads felt warm in my fingers. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, I whispered. Allah is sufficient for me. I said it again and again. I have learned this in my life. When you cannot solve something, you can still hold it. You can hold it with remembrance and with breath. Later that evening, my neighbor Sophia knocked on my door. She's a widow like me. Her hands smell of soap and onions most days. Tea? She asked, stepping inside without waiting for an answer. She has that right. She saw the untouched soup and my face too calm. She looked at me with eyebrows that asked questions. Layla got engaged, I said simply. Sophia's mouth fell open. Without you? I nodded. She waited a moment, then took my hand. Sabr, sister, she said. Children take different roads. We are the ones who stand at the gate and wave. I told her about the messages, the call, the quick words. I told her I was not angry as much as I was empty. It's not the ring, I said. It's not even the man yet. It's the missing yes, Sophia sighed. When they were young, we taught them to say please. Now we teach ourselves to say let go. She glanced around the kitchen as if searching for something to fix, some task to make the air useful. Where are your wedding bangles? She asked suddenly. I went to the bedroom and took out a small pouch from the back of the drawer. Inside were 2 bangles and a thin chain. I had sold most of my gold to pay for Layla's university years. These were what remained. I imagined placing them on Layla's wrists, one by one, finishing the circle her father had started the day we named her. The thought filled my eyes with water again. I blinked and set the pouch on the table. That night, after Isha, I called Bilal and told him the news. He was quiet, for a long time. She didn't ask you? He said finally. No, I answered. He sighed. Maybe she was afraid you would say no. I did not argue. He knew the history. He knew my stubbornness. What is his name? He asked. Imran. Imran what? I did not know. It hit me then, in a sharp, ridiculous way. I did not even know my future son-in-law's last name. I laughed, a small sound that broke inside. Bilal said gently, "Don't worry, you'll meet him. It will be okay." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to be the kind of mother who forgave fast. In the days that followed, the messages from Layla were short and practical. Work is crazy, she wrote. We are planning something small. Imran's mother wants to have tea with me. Uncle says he will handle the paperwork. Each sentence was a brick in a wall between us. I pressed my hand against it and felt it cool and smooth and tall. I answered with duas and heart emojis and the kind of cheer that feels like a bandage on a deep cut. I asked, once, if I could meet him. She said, "Soon, Mama. It's complicated. I asked, once, for his family name. She wrote, Imran Noor. Noor. The name hung in the air, like a bell. It reminded me of someone, of something, of a day in a market where a woman laughed and gold flashed. I shook my head at myself. Names repeat in this life. They go around like songs. I closed my eyes and tried to empty my mind. Sophia came every day for a week. She helped me straighten drawers that did not need straightening. She sat with me while I pretended to watch television. One afternoon, it rained. The sound against the balcony was soft, then hard, then soft again. I sat by the window with my tasbih and listened like you listen to someone breathing. I thought about calling Layla, about going to see her at her office and acting surprised, even happy, even if my chest felt like a crowded room. But something in me said, wait. I remembered a hadith my mother loved to repeat whenever I rushed. What is meant for you will not pass you by. I pressed the beads and tried to trust. When the rain stopped, Layla finally sent a longer message. Imran's mother wants to meet you, she wrote. She said she respects elders and their blessings. She also said it's okay if you're not ready. We can keep things simple. My lips tightened at the word simple. I wanted to write a long response about mothers and daughters and blessings that are not decoration. Instead, I typed, I would like to meet her. Then I erased it. Then I typed again, tell me when. Her answer came quickly. Saturday afternoon. Their house is in the old part of town. I will send the address. Please, Mama. Please be calm. I looked at the address when it arrived. My body remembered the street better than my mind did. It was near the old market, near the alleys, where I used to wait for Hassan on evenings when he took too long. My chest felt tight with memory. I told myself it was a big city. Roads cross each other. Stories overlap. It meant nothing. Sophia saw the address too, when I showed it to her. She frowned. Isn't that where? She began, then stopped. She looked at me, at my face that was trying to hold all its calm. It's a nice area, she finished. Lots of old houses. That night, I did not sleep much. I lay on my side and listened to the old refrigerator clicking on and off. I thought of Layla as a baby, how she would curl her fingers around my finger when she slept, as if she were afraid I would walk away from her dreams. I thought of myself as a younger woman, proud, certain, holding a world with 2 hands and a sharp jaw. I thought of all the ways I could have been softer. Before Fajr, I rose, washed, and stood on my prayer mat. The carpet under my feet remembered my shape. The first takbir broke a pocket of air in the room. It felt like opening a window. I cried during sujood. Not loud, just the kind of crying that cleans a corner of your heart quietly. I asked Allah to guide me, to put gentleness on my tongue and dignity in my steps. I asked him to hide what should be hidden and show what should be seen. I asked him to hold Layla's heart even when I could not reach it. When the sun rose, I made tea and toasted some bread. I buttered it thinly and did not eat it. I ironed my plain blue hijab and pinned it carefully. I looked at myself in the mirror and saw the years. I saw the girl I was, stubborn and hopeful. I saw the mother I became, fierce and tired. I saw the woman I am now, somewhere between forgiveness and pride. Bismillah, I whispered to my reflection. Let today be gentle. Saturday came slow but heavy. Layla arrived at my door on time, her hair tucked neatly, her face clean and nervous. She kissed my hand and then my forehead. Mama, she said, thank you for coming. I touched her cheek. I am your mother, I said, almost to myself. We walked down the stairs together. In the street, the air was warm and restless, like a room full of people. We took a taxi. Layla gave the driver the address. She folded her hands in her lap and looked out the window. We passed street vendors, and boys with footballs, and old men with cups of tea. We passed the masjid where I used to pray when the children were small and I could leave the house without a list of tasks in my mind. We passed the corner where I once stood in the rain and waited for Hassan to appear with a long explanation and a smile that asked me not to make this into something it was not. By the time we turned into the old street, my hands were cold. The buildings leaned toward each other like family. The taxi stopped in front of a house with a carved wooden door. The number above it had lost one screw and tilted to one side. "We're here," Layla said. She reached for my hand and squeezed it. I looked at her and thought of the first day she took her first step, always too fast for my fingers to hold. The door opened before we knocked. A woman stood there, elegant and simple at once. Her scarf was tied without drama. Her smile was practiced. "Welcome," she said. "You must be Salma." "I am Noura." The name landed softly and then echoed. I felt something under my rib move, like a fish in deep water. I nodded and stepped inside. The house smelled like lemon and cardamom. A tray of tea sat on a small table, already poured. I saw a photo frame on the shelf, a young man in a graduation cap, his eyes kind and wide. Imran. I moved toward the sofa. Layla sat beside me. Noura sat across and folded her hands in her lap the way I had done since I was a girl. "I'm happy to meet you," she said. "I have heard many things." I smiled politely. "I hope some of them are good." As she spoke, as the tea cooled, as the afternoon slid into a quiet kind of light, I felt the past and the present sit down together in the room. They did not speak. They did not need to. They just watched me, patient and certain. I sipped my tea and asked questions. Noura answered with care. "Imran works in logistics," she said. "He prays. He is close to his grandparents. He is calm and careful." I nodded. My mind was still somewhere else, walking a memory I thought I had locked. As we prepared to leave, I noticed a silver frame on the back table. It held an old photo, sun-faded, a market, a stall of fabric, a man with a broad smile, a woman with bracelets catching sunlight, a boy holding a red balloon. The room tilted slowly and then righted itself. I lifted the frame with steady hands and brought it close. "This is a beautiful photo," I said, my voice soft and strange. Noura smiled. "It's from the old days," she said. "From a stall. The owner was a kind man. He used to help us when we had nothing. He was like family to us." She paused. "His name was Hassan." The letters of his name broke apart and became water in my mouth. I put the frame down. I turned to Layla. She was looking at me, confused, trying to find the problem on my face. I smoothed my scarf and stood. "Thank you for the tea," I told Noura, my voice like a thin string. "May Allah keep your home blessed." On the taxi ride back, Layla held my hand again. "Mama?" she asked. "Are you okay?" I nodded. I swallowed. I looked out the window at the old city, moving like a film. The past was sitting beside me, quiet and heavy, its hand on my knee. I closed my eyes and told my heart to hold its breath. We were not at the end of this story yet, not even close. That night, I could not sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that old photo in Noura's home. The balloon, the bracelets, the stall. Hassan's smile, careless and kind, the way a man smiles when he thinks tomorrow is the same as today. I pressed my forehead to the cool tile of the kitchen counter and whispered, "Ya Allah, protect us from what we do not see." In the morning, I took out the tin box again. I laid everything on the bed like I was making a map. Wedding photos, school report cards, a letter from Bilal when he first left home, written in ugly boy handwriting. At the bottom, In a pocket I had never noticed, there were 2 folded receipts, so thin they looked like onion skin. The ink had bled, but I could still read a few words. Hospital fee. Noura, boy. Paid by H. Hassan. My hand shook. I sat down hard on the mattress and held the paper like a bird I was afraid to scare away. I did not want to think bad of a dead man. I did not want my grief to rot and turn into something else. But the truth does not ask us if we are ready. It knocks until we open. I prayed 2 rakahs and asked Allah to guide me. Then I sent a message to my brother. Farid, can we talk? He came in the afternoon. Farid has the kind of face that looks serious even when he is happy. He brought oranges and peeled one for me like he used to when we were children and the world was simpler. I showed him the receipts. He read them slowly. His mouth tightened. Do you remember, Noura? I asked, my voice small. From the market? You were always with Hassan, you would know. Farid put the papers down and wiped his hand on his knee. I remember, he said. People talked. You know how people are. I told them to keep their mouths clean. He hesitated. Hassan helped many people. He gave loans. He took people to hospital. He was soft-hearted. Maybe too soft. I saw her photo, I said. In her house. With him. With a boy. Farid looked at me, like a man looking at a road he did not want to walk. What do you want to do, Salma? I want the truth, I said. I want to know if my daughter is about to marry her brother. The words felt dirty in my mouth. I wanted to wash my tongue. Farid winced. He leaned forward. Astaghfirullah, he murmured. Listen, calm down. Do not jump to the worst. He touched the receipts with the tip of his finger. This could be anything. I lifted my chin. If it was anything, why did he hide it? Farid stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the street like an answer would walk by. I signed for Layla because she asked me, he said softly. I thought, maybe you and she need space. Maybe if I did not make it heavy, it would be okay. I did not know about this. He turned back. I swear, I did not know. I believed him. But belief did not make the stone in my chest smaller. Come with me, I said, to the old market. We will ask someone, who knows. We went the next day. The old market is a place with its own heart. Even when the world changes, that place keeps beating the same way. Men shouted prices. Women picked vegetables with quick fingers. The air smelled of dust and cumin and fried bread. We walked to the lane where Hassan's stall used to be. It was gone now, replaced by a phone shop, all bright screens and cool air. Across from it was a spice seller who had been there since the days when my hair was black and my back did not pain. His name is Saeed. He has thick eyebrows and a voice that still fills a room. He looked at me and his face softened. Salma, he said, you became old without telling us. I smiled in a way that did not reach my eyes. We all did, I said. I pointed across the lane. Do you remember Hassan's stall? Saeed nodded. Of course. He used to drink his tea too fast. He burned his tongue every day and never learned. He laughed to himself, then saw my face. His laughter faded. What is it? Do you remember a woman named Noura? I asked. She used to come, with a little boy. Saeed's eyebrows rose. He looked at Farid. He looked back at me. He lowered his voice. Why are you asking? My daughter is engaged to her son, I said. I need to know if the rumors were true. Saeed rubbed his chin. He had the careful look of a man stepping on stones in a river. Listen, he said. Many years ago, there was a woman, pretty but tired. She came here after her husband left her. She had a small boy. She was trying to work. Hassan helped. He bought from her when others did not. He gave her some money. He carried the boy on his shoulders sometimes. People talked. They always talk when a man is kind. Did he marry her? I asked. The air felt heavy. Saeed frowned. I do not know. If he did, it was quiet. There was a small imam then, in the side alley, who used to do nikah for people without noise. I can ask. My heart pounded. I nodded. Please, I said. Ask. Saeed called for a boy to watch his stall, and then led us through the narrow alleys, past boys with bread trays on their heads and old women counting coins. We stopped at a small doorway with peeling paint. He knocked softly. An old man answered, his hands stained with ink, his eyes milky. Hafiz, Saeed said. Do you remember me? The old man smiled. I remember your loud mouth even in my sleep. They hugged. We went inside. The room smelled like paper and sun and dust. Shelves lined the walls, filled with small notebooks tied with string. Hafiz keeps records, Saeed told me. He writes everything. My throat felt dry. We are looking for a name, I said. Hassan. I gave our last name. Maybe with a woman named Noura. Hafiz's hands shook a little as he untied some strings. He flipped through pages with a care that looked like love. My heart counted each turn. Finally, he stopped. He adjusted his glasses and squinted. Here, he said, a long time ago. He read slowly. The way you read something that changed someone's life. Hassan, son of Yusuf, and Noura, daughter of Mahmud. Nikah, performed, 2 witnesses, condition, to be kept private. Mahr paid in full. I felt the floor sway. I held onto the table. Farid said, Inna Lila, under his breath. Hafiz looked up. Why? He asked softly. What happened? I could not answer. My mouth would not open. Saeed put a hand on my shoulder. Old friend, he said to Hafiz. We will talk later. He took the notebook gently. Can we take a copy of this page? Hafiz nodded. He went to a corner and took out an old photocopy machine that coughed and warmed, and then gave us a thin piece of paper that felt heavier than steel. We walked out into the alley. The sun was bright, but the world looked dark to me. Farid held the paper like it was a knife. He married her, he said simply. He married her and did not tell you. He swallowed. Astaghfirullah. I took the paper and put it in my bag. I felt for my tasbih. I found it and held it tight. I will not hate him, I said. He is in his grave. He has his Lord. I have my test. I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes. But I cannot let this happen, Farid. I cannot let our children walk into haram. We went back to my apartment. The climb up the stairs felt longer than usual. I made tea with shaking hands. Farid sat silently. He stared at the wall. What will you do? He asked finally. I will talk to Noura, I said, alone, not with anger. I will ask her for the truth with my face open. I looked at my brother. And then I will tell Layla. I will tell her gently, like I am cleaning a wound. I called Noura and asked if I could visit. She hesitated, then said yes. Her voice was careful. I went the next afternoon. The house smelled like lemon again. She had a small plate of dates on the table and a bowl of water with floating mint. She smiled with her mouth, not with her eyes. We sat. I held the photocopy in my bag like a hot stone. I did not take it out. I did not want to begin with paper. Noura, I said, I need to ask you something. I ask with respect. Her hands trembled a little. She put them in her lap. Ask, she said. Did you know my husband? I asked. Not as a customer, as a man. Did he help you? I paused. Did he marry you? She closed her eyes. Her lips moved like she was speaking to Allah without sound. She opened them again. Salma, she said. We are two women. We know what it means to survive. She looked away. Hassan was good to me. When my husband left, I had nothing. He helped. He kept us from the street. People said bad things. I did not care. I had to feed my child. Tears slid down her face, quick and quiet. She wiped them with the back of her hand. Yes, she whispered. We married. It was small. He promised to speak to you. He did not. He was afraid. He said things were complicated. He said he would make it right. But then, your daughter got sick that year, and his stall had trouble, and he could not. He came less and less. He sent money. He held our boy at Eid and brought him a red balloon. And then one day, he did not come at all. My ears rang. Is Imran his son? I asked. The room seemed to shrink. Noura looked at me, her eyes dark and honest. Yes, she said. Imran is his son. I felt something in me break. It was quiet, the way thin glass breaks with a tight sound. I put my hand over my heart and breathed. We should have known, I said. We should have known this before our children's hearts crossed. Noura cried openly now. I did not know where you lived, she said. I did not want to destroy your home. I did not want to shame my son. I told Imran his father was a good man who died. I did not say his name. I never said. She covered her face. Allah, forgive us. I thought I could bury the past and build a future. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to stand up and point and make fire with my words. But when I looked at her, I saw myself. I saw a woman who made choices in the dark and paid for them alone. I took her hand. We cannot let them marry, I said, my voice firm. We cannot let them even stay engaged. We must stop it now, before it becomes haram upon haram. She nodded, sobbing. I will tell Imran, she said, tonight. I shook my head. Let me tell Layla first. Then we can bring them together and speak. I stood to go. Please, Noura, be strong. This will break their hearts. But Allah protects us with truth. On my way home, I felt like I was walking on a tightrope between two buildings. One step wrong, and everything below would swallow me. I reached my apartment and sat on the carpet. I did not take off my shoes. I put my forehead on the floor and cried until there was nothing left in me. Then I stood, washed my face, and called Layla. She came in the evening. She held flowers in her hand. She said, Mama, we got a date for the ceremony. We will do a small event at Noura's house next month. We will keep it simple, like you like. She smiled, trying to please me. I looked at her, and my heart ached with love. Sit, I said. I have something to tell you. She sat slowly. I told her about the receipts. I told her about the market. I told her about Hafiz and the notebook and the photocopy in my bag. I told her what Noura said. I kept my voice calm. I watched her face as I spoke. At first, confusion, then anger, then a kind of fear that made her shoulders rise. No, she said. No, Mama, this is a mistake. People are mixing stories. Why are you doing this to me? Her voice rose. You did this with Samir. You are doing it again. You do not want me to be happy. That is not true, I said. My hands were open in my lap. I would tear my heart out for your happiness. This is not about me. This is about blood. This is about Allah's law. She stood up. She paced the small room. Why now? She cried. Why are you bringing the past to the door when I finally found something good? You hate Noura because she stepped into a place you think belongs only to you. You hate her because of Baba. I stood too. Do not use your pain as a knife, I said softly. Do not cut me with it. I am telling you this to protect you. If I wanted to control you, I would stay silent and say, go, do what you want. But I am your mother. My job is to stand between you and harm, even if you hate me for it. Layla's face twisted. Tears ran down. I need proof, she said. Not stories, not old men with notebooks. Proof. I reached into my bag and took out the photocopy. I handed it to her. She read it like someone reading a diagnosis. She cried out and dropped it on the floor. She sank to her knees. No, she sobbed. No, no. I went to her and held her like she was a little girl who fell and scraped her knee. Ya Habibti, I whispered. I am here. Allah is here. You will not be destroyed by this. You will be saved by it. She cried in my lap until the adhan for Isha called from the thin speaker on the minaret. When it ended, she wiped her face. I have to call him, she said. I have to tell him. Not over the phone, I said. Tomorrow. Come with me to Noura's house. We will sit with them and we will say the truth. We will cry if we must, but we will do it with dignity. We owe them that. Layla nodded slowly. She picked up the paper from the floor and folded it with shaking hands. I hate Baba, she whispered, a raw sound. I held her face and made her look at me. Do not say that, I said. Do not carry that sin. He is gone. He will answer to Allah. We will answer for our time. Words. Say instead, I am hurt. Say, I do not understand. Say, Allah, forgive him and protect me. That is enough. That night, sleep came like a thin blanket. It covered a little, not enough. I woke before Fajr and sat on my prayer mat in the dark. I told Allah everything like he did not already know, because that is what dua is, a child in the lap of someone merciful saying what hurts. When the first light touched the sky, I felt a small peace settle on my shoulders. It was not heavy enough to hold me steady, but it was something. We went to Noura's house in the afternoon. The front door opened before we knocked. Imran stood there. He looked at us with worry and love and a confusion he did not yet know he owned. Layla, he said, is everything okay? He looked at me. Auntie? Call your mother, I said gently. We need to sit. We sat in the same room where I had chosen a polite smile instead of a scream. The tea tray was there again, as if tea could cure a wound like this. Noura came and sat. She looked at me and I looked at her, and we both knew we were about to change our children's lives. I began. My voice was steady. I said the facts like I was reading a simple list. Market, help, quiet, nikah, money, silence. Noura added what I could not know. She spoke about hunger and fear, about a small boy who asked about fathers, and about a man who visited less and less as his first life pulled him back. She did not cry loudly. Her tears traveled like small rivers across a tired landscape. Imran listened with his hands clasped together so tight the knuckles turned white. He stared at the table. When it ended, he stood up and walked to the window. He pressed his forehead against the glass. He said nothing for a long time. Layla looked at him. Her face was pale. Imran? She asked. Say something. He turned. His eyes were red but dry. I don't know what to say, he said. I grew up without a father, and now I learn that I had one all along. I wanted to be angry at him, but I don't even know him to hold that anger. And you are my... He swallowed. The word stuck. He sat down and put his face in his hands. Astaghfirullah, he whispered. What are we going to do? We will not marry, Layla said, her voice suddenly strong. We will not be engaged. We will stop. She looked at me, and then at Noura. We will stop now. Imran nodded. He lifted his head. He looked at Noura, then at me. "Thank you," he said, his voice rough, "for telling the truth, even if it hurts." We sat in the quiet. The house felt like a chest that could not breathe. Then Noura spoke, her voice small. "I am sorry," she said to both of them. "I thought I could hide my past and keep you safe. I did not think Qadr would bring you to each other." I shook my head gently. "Qadr brought you to a gate," I said, "but it did not push you through. Allah sent us a sign and a stop. We will be grateful for that." Before we left, we agreed on what to tell others. We would say we discovered a family connection and decided to cancel. We would not give details. We would protect the young from cruel mouths. That night, Layla slept in my bed, like she did when she was small and afraid of thunder. I did not sleep. I watched her breathe and counted each breath as a mercy we did not deserve, but still had. In the days after, the house was full of silence. Layla did not go to work for 3 days. She turned her phone face down. I made soup and then made it again when it got cold. I washed the same cups twice. I took the gold bangles out of the pouch and put them back. On the 3rd day, she sat up at the table with swollen eyes and said, "We have to tell Uncle Farid." I called him. He came, he listened, he put his head in his hands. "I am sorry, sister," he said. "I should have been more careful. I should have asked more questions." He looked at Layla. "Allah saved you from a great sin. Do not let the devil make you hate the one who saved you." Layla nodded. "I know," she said. "I know with my mind. My heart is slower." Farid told us he would speak to the imam who had been advising the young couple. He would ask for guidance on how to cancel properly, with respect. He would make sure the gossip was small. He left with his shoulders heavy. That evening, Imran came to see Layla. He stood at the door like a boy, asking for permission to enter an exam hall. "Can I speak to her?" he asked. I looked at him and saw Hassan's eyes. I stepped aside. Layla stood in the living room, her hands folded. They did not hug. They did not touch. They spoke like people who once shared a road and now must turn away. "I don't blame you," Imran said. "I don't blame anyone. I don't know who to blame." "Maybe that is better." He smiled weakly. "I think I will travel for a while. Maybe to my grandparents. Maybe to another city. I need to breathe somewhere else." Layla nodded. "I hope you find peace," she said. "I hope I do too." He glanced at me. "Thank you for raising her strong," he said. "Strong enough to stop." I blessed him and closed the door after he left. Layla stood there for a long time, looking at the door like it had become a grave. Then she went to her room and lay down. I stood in the kitchen and whispered, "Alhamdulillah," with a tight throat. Gratitude and grief can live in the same house. I have learned this. I thought that would be the end. I thought we had faced the storm and were now in the quiet after. But the heart is a fragile thing. Even when the sky clears, it keeps listening for thunder. 2 days later, Noura called me. Her voice shook. "Imran went to the old market," she said. "He wanted to see where everything started. He met a man he met Hafiz. He saw the notebook. He saw his father's name." She paused. "He is angry, Salma, not at you, at me. He feels cheated," she cried. "I do not know how to hold him. Give him time," I said gently. "He is a man whose ground moved under his feet. He will find his balance." "I am scared," she whispered, "of what he will do, of how he will speak to me. He has never even raised his voice to me. Now it is like I am a stranger in my own house." I wanted to say, "This is what secrets cost." I did not. I said, "I will come." I went with Layla. We took fruit and sweets because in our culture we bring sweetness when life becomes bitter, as if sugar can help a heart. Imran sat in the living room, his jaw tight. He stood when we entered out of respect. He kissed my hand. He hugged Layla lightly, almost like a brother. Then he sat back down and looked at his mother with a face I had never seen on him. "Why?" he asked. "Why did you keep his name from me? Why did you name me Noor and not Hassan?" His voice cracked. Noora flinched. "I was trying to protect you," she said. "From shame? From questions? From truth?" he said, the word like a bitter seed. He leaned forward. "All my life I thought I was unwanted by my father. Now I learn he wanted me enough to marry you, but not enough to be known. That is worse." Noora covered her face. Her shoulders shook. Layla reached for her but stopped her hand in the air, as if she was not sure if she was allowed to comfort this woman who had broken her heart by accident. I went and sat next to Noora and put my arm around her. "You can hate our choices," I said to Imran, "but do not cancel our humanity. We did the best we could with the light we had." He sighed. He pressed his fingers to his eyes. "I know," he said. "I am not proud of my anger. I will not let it stay. I just need to let it visit." Layla spoke softly. "I am angry too," she said, "at my father, at the world. But I am also grateful. We are not married. We did not cross that line. That is mercy." Imran nodded. He looked at her with tenderness and sorrow. They were like two branches from the same tree, bent in the wind and now turning away. "I will take care of my mother," he said. "I will not leave her alone, but I will leave this city." "For a while?" I glanced at Noora. Panic flickered across her face. "Where will you go?" I asked. "Maybe to my father's town," he said quietly, "to see his grave, to sit there and ask him questions he cannot answer." He half smiled. "It is foolish, I know." "It is not foolish," I said. "Sometimes the dead listen better than the living." We left them, and the house felt heavier than the day before. On our walk home, Layla slipped her hand into mine like she was 8 again. At the bottom of our stairs, she stopped and leaned her head on my shoulder. "I am tired, Mama," she said simply. "Come," I said. "Come, rest." In the following week, the world did not give us time to hide. News spreads in shapes you cannot control. People heard that the engagement was canceled. They did not know why, but they made stories. Some said I did not like Imran's job. Some said Noora and I had fought. Some said Layla was too proud. The gossip was small and petty like pebbles in a shoe. It did not kill you, but it made every step hurt. I went to the masjid and prayed and kept my eyes down. A few sisters asked questions with their heads tilted, voices sweet and sharp. I smiled and said, "Make dua," around me, and whispered, "Allah protected her." Those words were water. One afternoon, I found Layla sitting on the balcony with the tin box open. She was holding one of Hassan's letters to me from years ago. His words were plain and kind. He wrote about the price of fabric and the way the winter wind made his hands crack. He called me my patient Salma. Layla traced the letters with her finger. "I want to forgive him," she said. "I don't want his shadow to sit in my room every night, but I also want to scream." She laughed without humor. "How do you do both?" "You can scream in sujud," I said. "You can forgive with your mouth and ask your heart to catch up later. Forgiveness is slow. It is like waiting for dough to rise." She smiled a little. "You and your bread," she said. "Everything is bread with you." "It is because it teaches you patience," I said, "and because if you ruin it, you can start again tomorrow." We both laughed, softly. It was a small light. A few days later, Farid called. The Imam said we should do a small meeting with both families, he said, to close this chapter cleanly, to make dua together. It will help the children. It will stop tongues. He cleared his throat. Can you do it at your home? I agreed. My apartment is simple but warm. I cleaned it like a woman preparing for guests who are also wounds. I cooked lentil soup and rice and chicken. I made sure there was enough tea and dates. I laid out 2 prayer mats side by side in the living room, just in case someone needed to fall on their face and breathe. Noura and Imran came, Farid came, 2 of our cousins came. The Imam, a gentle man with a white beard and a soft voice, sat in my old armchair as if it had been waiting for him. We sat in a circle. He listened to our story. He nodded. Then he spoke about Qadr, about how Allah writes what we cannot imagine, about how sometimes the mercy looks like a door closing. He spoke about patience and about protecting each other's honor. Do not think of this as a catastrophe, he said. Think of it as a crossing you did not make. Your feet stayed on the safe ground. That is blessing. Now you must build a bridge of respect so that when you look back, you see care, not chaos. We held our hands open and he made dua. His voice was simple. Ya Allah, heal these hearts. Cover what should be covered. Reveal what should be revealed. Write for these young ones' spouses who will be a garment and a mercy. Forgive the dead, forgive the living. Keep us away from what is haram and bring us close to what pleases you. We all said Ameen with wet eyes. After they left, the house felt lighter, but there was one more thing I needed to do, one more heavy stone I had to lift. I had to look at Hassan, not his face, of course, his grave. I told Layla in the morning. I am going to your father, I said, to speak. She looked at me with surprise and then understanding. Do you want me to come? She asked. No, I said. This is something I must do alone. The graveyard was quiet and hot. The ground is always uneven there, like life. I found his stone easily. Time teaches your feet the path to grief. I sat on the low wall and looked at the name I had spoken in love and in anger and in silence for so many years. I placed my hand on the warm stone. Hassan, I said softly. I came to tell you I know. The wind moved a bit, a small kindness. You were a good man to me in many ways. You were weak in other ways. I was stubborn. I was proud. We were 2 people trying to be everything to each other. We failed sometimes. I sighed. Our daughter almost married your son. Did you know Allah would do this? Did you know your choices would come back as a test for our children? I closed my eyes. I forgive you. I ask Allah to forgive you. I ask Him to make your grave wide and your mistakes light. I ask Him to make me gentle when I remember you. I will try to hold your memory with mercy. I read Surah Yasin. My voice shook, but I finished. I left a small bottle of water on the side of the path for the birds, because my mother taught me the dead are helped by the living's charity. As I walked away, I felt taller and smaller at the same time. On my way back, my phone rang. It was Bilal. Mama, he said, I booked a ticket. I am coming for a few days. Why? I asked, surprised. Work? No, he said. Sophia told me. He sighed. She said it was hard. I want to be there. I smiled. Sophia and her mouth. Come, I said. Your sister needs your arms. Bilal arrived 2 days later. He hugged me like he was trying to close all the cracks in my back with his chest. He held Layla and did not let go until she cried into his shirt and told him to stop being a fool. He met Imran and shook his hand, then pulled him in and hugged him too, because Bilal's heart is large and simple. They sat and spoke quietly. When Imran left, Bilal looked at me and said, He is a good man. I know, I said. That is what makes it hurt. A week after that, the small event that had been planned before everything fell apart was supposed to happen. We had told people it was cancelled, but Noura called me the night before and said, would you come tomorrow? Not for a party, for tea, for closure. Her voice was a whisper. My sisters are coming. They will ask questions. I would like you to be there so we can speak with one heart. I hesitated. I did not want more whispers, but I knew running from the world gives it more power. I will come, I said. I wore my simple blue hijab. I put the bangles back into the drawer. I took with me a small box of dates stuffed with almonds. When I arrived, the house was full of women. They were talking in low voices. They looked up when I entered. Noura stood and hugged me, tightly. She introduced me as Layla's mother, and the women smiled and said the usual things. We sat. The room felt hot. Noura cleared her throat. I want to say something, she said. The women quieted. The engagement is cancelled. We discovered a close family tie that makes the match not possible. Please do not ask for details. Please make dua for both of them. The women exchanged looks. One of them opened her mouth, then closed it. Another nodded and said, Allah writes better than we plan. The air softened. We drank tea, we ate dates. We did not cry, not with our eyes, but our hearts did, quietly and constantly. After the women left, I stayed behind to help Noura wash the cups. The water ran warm. The clinking of glass against glass was a comfort. She looked at me. I found something, she said. She went to a drawer and took out a small, thin chain with a tiny round pendant. Inside was a faded photo. Hassan holding a baby, his smile soft and strange, like he was trying something new with his mouth. He gave me this, Noura said. I thought I would give it to Imran on his wedding day. She closed her eyes. Now I think maybe it should go to Layla. I looked at the pendant in her palm. I imagined it on Layla's neck, a weight from the past. I shook my head gently. Keep it, I said. Imran should have what his father gave you. He is his son. Layla is his daughter. They will both carry him in their own ways. She nodded and pressed the chain to her lips. We finished the cups in silence. That night, as I lay in bed, I realized that the turning point was not the paper with the names. It was not the moment in Noura's living room. It was not even the cancelled gathering. The true turning point was happening inside me, slow and invisible. I was learning to hold two truths at once, my pain and my gratitude, my anger and my forgiveness, the past and the future. A few days later, Noura called to say Imran had left for the seaside to see his grandparents. Layla went back to work. Bilal returned to Doha. The house sighed and found its old shape. I cleaned the top shelf where nobody looks. I changed the curtains. I made a big pot of soup and took some to Sophia, because that is what you do when you have too much sadness and too much soup. You share both. And then, one afternoon, a letter came. A real letter, with a stamp and my name written in careful handwriting. It was from Imran. He wrote from a small town that smells of salt and diesel and old nets. He said, Auntie, I sat by the sea and I spoke to Allah. I asked him to write for me a woman who is kind and not connected to me by blood. He added a small smile drawn like a child. I asked him to make me a good son to my mother. I want to thank you for telling the truth. I want to thank you for raising a woman like Layla who is brave. Tell her I pray for her every day. Tell her I hope the man written for her walks toward her, with patience. I cried when I finished reading. I brought the letter to Layla. She read it and pressed it to her chest. He is better than many men I have known, she said softly, and he is my brother. The words were both a comfort and a wound. That night, as I washed the last cup and turned off the kitchen light, I heard the rain begin against the balcony. It was the kind of rain that makes a song only those who have cried understand. I stood there and listened. I thought of all the doors in this story. The door of Noura's house, the door of Hafiz's record room, the door of my heart. They had all opened at the right time. This is how I know it was Qadr. Not because it was easy, but because when I look back at the path, I see a hand guiding my steps away from a cliff I did not know was there. That knowledge did not erase the pain, but it put a light inside it. Days turned into weeks, and the house learned a new rhythm. The radio in the morning, the pigeons at noon, the floor washed on Fridays. Grief softened around the edges, like bread left in the air. It was still heavy, but it did not cut as sharp. Layla started going back to work. She wore simple clothes and quiet colors. She no longer checked her phone every 10 minutes. She came home early some days and sat with me on the balcony. We drank tea and watched the street. When she laughed, it came from far away, as if it had to travel a long distance before it reached her mouth. I also changed in small ways. I stopped checking the front door every night like a guard. I stopped expecting bad news every time the phone rang. I started to read Quran in the early hours again, the way I used to when the children were small and I was learning how to hold fear and faith at the same time. My voice was slow, my fingers sure. The pages felt like a path I knew by heart. One afternoon, when the light was soft and the balcony was warm, Layla said, "Mama, can we go to the old market?" Her voice was steady, but I heard the request under the request. She wanted to walk near the place where it all began. She wanted to see if her legs could hold her. We called Noura and Imran. We met at the corner where the men sell belts and socks and small radios. The four of us stood together like a family that is both old and new. For a moment, I felt eyes on us, curious and sharp, and then I decided not to care. We walked to the lane where Hassan's stall used to be. The phone shop was busy, loud with ringtones and small arguments. Across from it, the spice seller, Saeed, waved at us with his big hand and smiled with his whole face. He did not ask questions. He only said, "Tea?" in a way that was more kindness than question. We bought a length of blue fabric from a vendor 2 stalls down. It was the color of the sky 2 hours after sunset. We held it together, me at one end, Noura at the other, Layla and Imran in the middle. "What will you make?" the vendor asked, like a man asking what shape you will give to your pain. "A runner for the table," I said. "One for our house, one for hers." The vendor cut the cloth in 2. He folded both pieces with care and gave them to me as if handing a book to a librarian. We paid. We thanked him. We walked past the alley where Hafiz kept his notebooks and offered a silent salam to his door. The air smelled like cumin and sun. Back home, I took out my old sewing box. The needle was slow. My eyes were slower, but the thread found its way through. I stitched the edges by hand, each stitch a small promise to keep going. Layla stitched the other one at Noura's kitchen table, with Noura guiding her hand in the places where the fabric did not listen. When we finished, we took a photo of both runners, laid side by side like 2 long blue roads. On the first Friday of the new month, I invited Noura and Imran for lunch. I cooked slowly and with intention. I made rice with cinnamon and raisins, chicken with lemon and olives, and a salad with pomegranate seeds that looked like little rubies. I set the table with the blue runner in the middle. When they arrived, Noura stood in the doorway and looked at the cloth. Her hand covered her mouth. She did not cry. She only nodded, once, like a woman agreeing with fate. We ate together without rushing. Imran passed the bread to Layla without touching her fingers. He called me Auntie, and his voice was full of respect. He told us about the sea and the way the fishermen laugh at dawn. He told us he had started to volunteer at a youth center, helping boys with homework and small worries. I thought I might teach them how to be gentle, he said, half smiling. Because the world is loud, and boys sometimes think loudness is strength. After lunch, we prayed Asr together. 2 prayer mats side by side, 4 people standing. The room felt larger. The air felt clean. When we finished, I made dua out loud. I said, Ya Allah, make us a family without shame. Make us people of truth. Put love between hearts that should love, and distance between hearts that should not. Cover us with your mercy, the way this blue cloth covers my table. In the weeks that followed, we began to teach our neighbors another story. It did not happen with words. It happened with acts. Noura came to my house with soup when my knee hurt. I went to her house with fresh bread when her stove broke. Layla picked up oranges for her on her way home. Imran fixed the loose handle on my balcony door. We did not hide. We did not show off. We lived. Of course, some people still talked. One woman in the building, Rima, spoke loudly in the stairwell one day when Noura was leaving my apartment. Times have changed, she said to her friend, her voice like a spoon scraping a pan. People are so modern now. They mix everything, even family lines. I could have kept walking, but I have learned that silence is not always sober. Sometimes silence is fear dressed nicely. I stopped. I looked at Rima. Sister, I said kindly, if your words cannot be a blanket, let them be a pillow. Do not let them be a stone. She looked embarrassed. She did not answer. Her friend looked at the floor. Noura thanked me with her eyes. We went on. That evening, I sat with Layla and spoke of something that had been sitting between us for years. I said, "Do you remember Samir?" She frowned and smiled at the same time. "Yes," she said. "I was 23. I thought I knew everything." "I was cruel," I said simply. "I wanted to protect you, but I also wanted to control the story. I used my fear like a wall. I am sorry." Layla took my hand. "You are my mother," she said. "You were scared for me. I was angry with you. We both were proud." She squeezed my fingers. "We have both changed. I will do better. I promised. If a man comes and he is good, I will ask questions, yes, but I will not confuse my fear with Allah's warning. I will pray istikhara and I will listen. I will not carry you like a baby when you are a woman." She laughed softly. "Allah bless you," she said. "I will also be better. I will not hide news from you because I am afraid. I will bring it to you like a basket. We will look inside together." We hugged in the kitchen. The walls heard everything and promised to keep it. A month later, on a quiet Wednesday, Sophia came with a story that started like many stories start with tea. She had been at a women's circle at the masjid. They spoke about marriage and patience and the way 2 families meet. "There is a young man," she said, pouring sugar into her cup. "His name is Karim. He is 34. He works at the city office. His mother is kind and quiet. His father died when he was young. He has been looking for a wife for a while. He wants someone steady." His mother asked me if I know a girl with a strong head and a soft heart. Layla rolled her eyes like a girl who is tired of being matched and yet hopeful. "A strong head and a soft heart?" she said. "That sounds like a riddle." Sophia shrugged. "Life is a riddle." She sipped her tea and looked at me. "Shall I give them your number?" I looked at Layla. I had promised. She was the one who should answer. She took a breath. "Give them my mother's number," she said. "Let them ask her first." I smiled inside. A door opened quietly. The next day, Karim's mother called. Her name was Sakina. Even her voice was calm. She spoke gently, like someone who has learned how to walk on sand. We arranged a visit. They came on a Saturday afternoon, bearing a box of tiny cakes and a bag of oranges. Karim wore a simple shirt. He greeted us with his eyes lowered. He sat with his mother. He did not talk too much. When he did speak, he chose words like a careful tailor, cutting and measuring before sewing. I asked the questions I needed to ask. "Do you pray?" I asked. He said, "I do." "How do you speak when you are angry?" I asked. He smiled a little. "Quietly," he said. His mother laughed and touched his arm. "He goes for a walk," she said. "He does not throw words." We spoke about work and family and the cost of rent in this city that pretends to be rich and cannot afford kindness. Layla asked about books. He liked history. She liked numbers. They both liked to fix things when they broke. "I do not like to throw away," he said. "I like to repair." Layla nodded. "Me too," she said softly. When they left, the house felt warm. I made wudu and prayed 2 rakahs. I asked Allah to guide me. I asked him to write ease for my daughter. That night, while washing the cups, I remembered my promise and smiled at my reflection in the kitchen window. We did not rush. We allowed weeks to pass. Karim and his mother visited again. This time, Noura and Imran came too. I introduced Noura as my sister, and I watched Sakina's face carefully. She did not flinch. She greeted Noura with warmth. Imran shook Karim's hand and looked him in the eye like a brother, checking if this man could hold a piece of our family. They spoke about work. They spoke about prayer. They spoke about the best place in the market to buy spices. It was simple. It was good. In the middle of this slow spring, something unexpected happened. Noura called one morning, her voice excited and shaky. "Salma," she said, "do you remember the small pendant I showed you?" I opened it again while cleaning. The tiny photo fell out. Behind it, folded small like a swallow's sleep, there was a piece of paper. Her voice broke. "It is from Hassan." I sat down. The chair complained. "Read it to me," I said, my heart in my throat. Noura unfolded the paper carefully. It was thin and yellow. The ink faded, but still strong enough to cross years. She read slowly, like a woman carrying a precious bowl. "Noura, forgive me for the fear I keep feeding. I have not been brave. If I die before I fix this, please tell Salma that I was weak and that I am sorry. Tell her I did not plan to hurt her. Tell her I married you because I could not leave you unprotected. Tell her to protect you if she can. Tell my children, both of them, that they are brother and sister. Tell them to never cross lines Allah has drawn for their mercy. If Allah gives me time, I will say these words myself. If He does not, leave them on my grave with a prayer." Noura stopped. The phone was quiet except for our breathing. My eyes filled. I held the edge of the sink. I felt something old and hard inside me loosen. The words were late, but they were true. "Bring it," I whispered. "Bring it to my house." She came with the piece of paper wrapped in a clean handkerchief. We read it again with Layla. We cried. We laughed in that ugly way people laugh when crying. Layla pressed the paper to her lips. "Baba," she said, "not with hate, not with love, but with release." We did as the letter asked. The next day, we went to Hassan's grave, me, Layla, Noura, and Imran. We laid the note on the stone and covered it with a small flat rock so it would not fly. We read Surah Al-Fatiha. We prayed for him. We prayed for each other. We stood in a line, 4 shadows, and the sun was kind to us. As we left, a wind moved, soft and certain, and lifted the corner of my scarf like a gentle hand. After that day, It became easier to use the right words. I began to call Imran son without thinking. He smiled the first time and looked down, shy and grateful. Layla started calling Noura auntie sometimes, and sometimes, when they were alone and the tea was strong, Mama Noura. It did not take anything from me. It gave me something. It made my family bigger, not smaller. Karim continued to visit. He never came empty-handed. Sometimes he brought his mother's fresh bread. Sometimes he brought dates. Once he brought a mend kit with tiny scissors and good needles and said, "For your sewing." He was not poetic. He was not loud. He was steady. It was exactly what Layla needed. It was exactly what I needed for her. At last, one evening after Maghrib, Karim and his mother came with intention. They sat. His mother held my hand with both of hers. "We would like to ask for Layla's hand," she said. "We ask for your blessing first, then we ask for hers." I looked at Layla. The old me would have spoken first, to cover the moment, to guide it, to control it. The new me waited. Layla took a breath. Her eyes were wet. "Mama," she whispered, "what do you think?" I reached across and brushed a hair from her forehead like I did when she was 5. "I think we can say yes," I said. "If your heart says yes." She nodded. She smiled, a small, real smile that I had missed. "Then I say yes," she said. "Bismillah. We did it right this time. We involved the families." Farid came and sat quietly, like a man who had learned the cost of careless signatures. Bilal flew in for a weekend and took photos of us that were too close and full of joy. Noura cooked a big pot of sweet rice the way her mother taught her and carried it to my house like an offering. Imran stood behind me when Karim's uncles arrived and poured tea politely and watched every pair of hands like a guard of blessings. We fixed a date for a small nikah. The imam came to the house. He asked the questions. He recited the words. Karim and Layla answered with clear voices. I held my breath and let it go when their names became a pair. We did not dance. We did not shout. We cried and smiled and ate and said Alhamdulillah often, because it is a rope you can hold when everything else feels slippery. There was one moment that I knew would hurt and heal at once. Some of the women from the building came to greet us. Rima came too. Her mouth already turned to slice. She looked at Noura beside me and said in a voice like sugar on a knife, "And who is this?" The surprise guest. I felt the old anger rise like a tide. Before I could speak, Layla stepped forward. She put her arm around Noura. "This is my auntie," she said softly but with steel. "She is the mother of my brother. She is part of our family by truth and by honor. Please greet her with respect." The room went quiet. Rima flushed. She muttered something and lowered her eyes. Noura's hand shook in mine. She squeezed it once, hard. I looked at my daughter and saw a woman who carried herself with dignity. My heart grew. After the ceremony, after the guests left and the plates were stacked and the floor was sticky with sweet tea, I sat alone in the kitchen for a moment. I put my forehead on my arms and whispered, "Thank you." Not a speech, not a list, just those 2 words, heavy with everything they were holding. A few days later, we went again to the cemetery. This time, as a larger family. We took Layla in her pale scarf and Karim in his calm shirt, and we took Noura and Imran. We stood by Hassan's grave with the blue sky above us and the quiet ground below. I spoke to him in my head. "Your daughter is married," I told him. "You did not bless her, but I did, and she blessed me back." We placed a small sprig of green on the stone. We read Quran. We walked away lighter. On the path, Imran fell in step with Karim. "If you ever break her heart," he said, half joking, half warning, "you will answer to 2 mothers and a brother." Karim laughed softly. Then, "I am a careful man," he said. Time did the rest of the work. It always does, if you let it. Layla and Kareem moved to an apartment not far from me. I did not cry the first night. I made dua and then heated soup and put it in 2 containers and carried them over, because that is how I say I love you when words feel too thin. Noura found a new job at a small clinic, helping with papers and schedules. She said it made her feel useful again. Imran began training boys at the local sports hall on Saturdays. He came for dinner every week and brought stories. He called Bilal captain just to tease his older brother Pride. He called me Mama Salma sometimes, and each time a piece of my heart healed. Sometimes, late at night, the memory of that ring photo still visited me, the quick message, the missing yes. But now when it came, it sat politely in the corner of my mind, and I handed it a cup of tea and told it what happened after. It listened, it learned, it lost its sharpness. I also changed inside. I learned that my job as a mother is not to hold the steering wheel when my hands are shaking. It is to hold the map. It is to say, this road is safe, that road is dark. Bismillah. I am here if you need me. I am here even if you do not. It is to make my home. A place where my children want to bring their joy, not a place where they hide it. On our first Eid after the wedding, our apartment was full. The blue cloth was on the table. The smell of cardamom and lamb and fried sweets filled the rooms. Children from the building ran in and out. We placed a chair for Hassan between mine and Noura's, not a real chair, but a space we did not fill. We did not speak his name loud. We carried him in our smiles and in our silence. That is how you love the people you cannot fix. You carry them in the space between your ribs and your prayer. When I was a young wife, I thought love was like a house you build once and then live in forever. Now I know love is like a tent. You must tie it daily. You must pull its ropes and check for holes and move it when the wind shifts, and when it tears, you do not throw it away. You stitch it in the morning light with slow hands. The day my daughter sent me the photo of a ring without my blessing, I felt small and old. I felt pushed out of my own story. I thought Allah had turned his face from me. I understand now that he was turning my face towards something I needed to see. He was protecting my child from a sin she did not even know was close. He was protecting a young man too, a boy who did not ask to be born into a secret. I have learned that sabr is not sitting in a corner and taking pain like medicine. Sabr is walking through a room filled with broken glass with your head high because you know there is a door at the other end. It is cleaning blood from your own feet gently. It is also opening your hand and letting go of the sharp pieces you cannot fix. I have learned that forgiveness has many faces. It can look like a woman placing a blue runner on her table and inviting another woman to sit beside her. It can look like a daughter standing beside her other mother in front of the mouths of neighbors and saying, "This is my family." It can look like a son writing from the sea, thanking people he once almost married. Sometimes I still go to the old market and walk past the place where Hassan used to stand. I look at the space and I do not curse it. I greet it like an old street that knows my secrets. I buy a small thing, a handful of spices, a piece of lace. I return home and cook. I feed whoever is at my table that day. It is how I make peace with the past. I turn it into food and I share it. On some evenings, after Isha, I sit alone with the radio low and the window open. The city breathes, the pigeons settle, the blue cloth is soft under my hand. I think of my mother and how she used to say, "What is written for you will not miss you, and what misses you was never meant to be yours." I think of how I once resisted that and how it saved me. If you are listening to me and your heart is tired, hear me. The door you wanted to walk through may close. Do not bang your fists until your knuckles bleed. Step back. Wait. Another door will open, maybe not with music, maybe with a long quiet. Walk through it when you are ready. Trust the hand you cannot see but can always feel when you put your forehead on the floor. Maybe Allah wanted me to lose the engagement I thought I wanted, so that I could find a family I did not know I had. Maybe He wanted me to forgive a man who once made the world safe for me and unsafe for me at the same time. Maybe He wanted me to learn that a mother is a house you can return to, but also a window to look through when you need to see the sky. When I hold my tasbih now, the beads move smoother. They do, not catch on a knot like they used to. I think it is because there are fewer knots in me. I still worry. I still look at the door sometimes and think I hear my husband's cough. I still burn the bread once in a while and laugh and start again. But when Layla calls me now, the first thing she says is, "Mama," and the second thing she says is, "I need your dua." That is my blessing. That is enough. So if your daughter sends you a message with a ring and no blessing, breathe. Breathe again. Make wudu. Hold your rosary. Call on the one who sees what is behind doors and inside hearts. He will guide you. He will write a story that is better than the one you are afraid to lose. And when the day comes and a good man asks for your daughter's hand with your blessing, you will feel the difference. You will feel the ground under your feet. You will say Bismillah, and your voice will be steady. You will look around your small, blessed home and see faces that once hurt to see and now bring peace. You will know then that you did not lose. You were led. What would you have done in my place? Would you have stayed quiet and watched, or knocked on Noura's door right away? Tell me in the comments, which country are you watching from? I would love to know. Don't forget to follow Voices of Fatima, like this video, and share it with someone who might need this message of patience, truth, and mercy.